So the first step is now that I want to use a VCF service, and we can have that just as easy if it was a Windows application. We just need the URL address for it, and then we can make it generate all the stuff we need to get information from it. And in this case there will be classes, and there will be some services we can use. So I make a service reference, I put in the URL for this one, and remember now, I'll just say it so you're sure that remember. When we make the VCF service, it's actually generate code to make the services, but the important stuff is also it's creating the XML file, the VSDL document, where it describes all the stuff about the services, and it says which methods the services had, and if we have return value or parameters that the object, it actually defines how they are looking like. So when we are making this, we use the VSDL document. I don't need to write it here, but it's still the one we need. And saying go, then it's have found it. And when I now make the reference service, should we call it person? That's Danish, English, not the property of it will be fornoun, afternoun, but so this is the service, person service reference, and we can see what methods we have here. In this case, we got get all persons, and it's Danish, I know, but when I press here, and I just skip here, advanced, just for a second, and say which kind of collection type do I want to have the return value into, and in this case I could make a list instead of an array. And if you have update in a Windows application where you actually are running asynchronously, then some of the it might be interesting also making an observable collection class, because when you change on this class, then if you have a list view in the window, then it will actually get information and send information to the UI that it need to refresh the list. But I think I will today just use a generic list instead of an array. Default was an array, so I don't need this one. I don't want async. You can have async on an MVC, but you got a problem because you call from the server. You call the server from a client, and if the server is running async, then it's a little bit more difficult to control what's going on, and especially when you're debugging. So just we don't need them, so I just put them away. Else it doesn't matter. But if you are using it for the exam, then I think this one will be the best one, because the task way of writing code is a little bit more difficult to understand. This one, you will have an event when it's completed, and it's probably more difficult. It's still the same, it's just the syntax will be different. So now we actually are generating a lot of classes, the classes for the services and the communication, the service, the D2 objects. So, and this could be used for a module. So I actually have a module now. If I go to this one and open it up, you probably can find it here somewhere. Person services. Yeah, this one. You will see the classes. So I got this one, which is the class that I want to make the communication with, and I got this one, and you can see it got a lot of properties. So address, district, name, and what I need. It's a little bit more complex than a simple D2 object, but that doesn't matter. I don't need all the rest, only when I make the communication. So I got an object, so now I can make my first controller. So I will make a new controller. So add controller. And now I will be a little bit lazy because I could make it from the beginning. But I will cheat a little bit because I can generate a lot of action that can be used for create view elements and so on, and it's a little bit easier than writing it myself. It's still nearly the same, so now we can see what the template contains. So if we need new one, we can add them. So this one, and the name of the controller, I think I would call it person, and then it will be a little more big. So if we take a look, we've got the index. So we got an index, and in this case it's normally that the index might make a presentation of all the person. We don't need a startup page, else this could be the startup page. Then we got some, you can see here, where we can have details, and from the URL we can send an ID to it, just like we did with the web API. We can pass it in the URL, one element, one parameter, the ID, and that will be of course a key for an object, so that will be nice. And the create one, you will see that we actually get two. It's not saying that it's a get, but this is a get one, so we need one to show an empty form, and then of course we need, when we got it back, then we need the create from the create from the form, so we can actually get the information. And you see here that the default for this is actually something called form collection. So form collection is another way of passing parameters. All the parameters will just be a key value pair. So so this is just a default. We can change it for the right model instead, because it might be more convenient. Then we don't need to get key value pair, but just having the object. So but you can see, and when we tried and we have inserted it, it just make a redirect. So this is the way we can make a redirect. So instead of viewing when it has created the information, it just go to the view, and it redirect to the index. So the index will actually show all the person again, and now hopefully there will be one more person. And if we take the next one, the edit, then you probably will pass the information here by an ID, so you probably will show the information in this view, and then when you change it, you still send the ID, and you have the model or the form collection, as you can see here. And then in the last one, the delete one, we probably will show the information first, and then you will delete it. So we'll try to take a few of them. So and I'll start with this one because this might be the most interesting. Well, actually there might be two interesting. The one for this one, and then the edit one, because we can see them. Then we probably can also find a little bit more simple, just showing the data for the details. So try to make a view. So in this case, so I'll get a view, add a view, and this time I will say that I need a model, and it's actually a list model because I want it to show all the person. Understand? So I say it's a list, and then I need the model class, and this will be my model class. So it's person DTO. This is my model, and I could also, I don't need a lot of script reference to JavaScript. I don't need that. But in this case, I could use a layout page, so there will be a frame that looks like the same all over all the views. So this is enough, and then I will say add. And now we will have a more complex view. So we will have a short talk about what's going on, and then you will have an understanding of where we are going to. I don't expect you to do that today, maybe, but maybe when we are ending the week and you have been working a little bit more, you might also understand it to change a little bit of this. So you can see here we still pass the model in the beginning. It's not a list this time because they don't care about the type of collection class. They just care about that it's possible to go to it. So we pass it as an interface, an enumerable interface. We could change this if we want to, but why should we? Because this would also fit for an array, and it would also fit for some other collection class. Then we got a header here, and actually you will see here that we are passing information this time in the top. There is a viewback.title, and the title is what we see in the top of the address field. So when we got something like this, we will have a title. I can't see the title. Yeah, here. Here we got the title. So the title will be shown here. And in this case, we pass the title to the template that's shown all over, so that there will be some default page which all contains into. So this is passing a value for that, so it's just called index. We can give it another title if you want. Of course, in this case, it might be interesting saying index of persons. So then we got some action, so there will be some links at the top of the page. So it's not an HTML link, but it's still nearly the same. So we got a content, and then we got an action method. So when we are saying create view, that will be the one that we see, and then there will be an action. So we click on it, it will send it to the action query. Then there's a table. So this time we use a table, and that's of course when we having a list of people, we might see them like row and column. So in this case, we have a table, and this is the top. So this is the header for the table. So the header for each column. And you see now it's a little bit strange because the syntax is a little bit different. So we could change that, but we have seen how we could put element in just directly. So this is actually a name, so it's going for the name of the attribute, not the content, not the value. So it takes the name for the value, and we will see later that we can actually set some attributes on the data model, how we want it to be shown on the screen. So it goes for the module, and then it finds the address. And of course, in this case, they just put it in. I think they are in lexical order. So we might change the order. We will have a nice look. So this is actually just a label in the header, but it's taking the name of the address, not the value. So we can go a little bit further when we have all the in the top all the header information. Then we actually are skipping now and make all the rows. So and every row we have a person. So for every row we try to get the element, and you can see that we have the model, and in this case it was a list. It was in a normal model, so we can make it for each. And you can see it's a sharp tag here, so we can make it for each. Of course, we can make also if-else constructions. And then in this case, we take a display, and then we take the content. This time it's the model item, and we will go for the model item here and find the element address. So this is actually the content. And in the bottom you will find a little bit more. You will find some action link to get to other action, to get to other pages. So we need something to do for this one. We need a module. So if we go back to the controller here, we just need a module, and that can be done simple. We got the person service reference dot, and then we got this one. I put it here. If I put it here, it will be generated. This is the same as we know already from Bjørk API, and also actually for the VCF. Every time we are calling the controller, we will generate a new object. So this will be a new object every time. So if I put it here and make the service, we will still not have a session running on the service side. We will have here, but not on the service side, and it will be made every time. So if I need that, I probably should think about how to do that a little bit more complex, but I could put it in a session variable or something like that. But I can also just make a new instance every time, because I don't want to keep so much in memory. I will get it when I need it, and every user will get its own module. So this time I make this service object, and then I can call it. Service dot and get alle personer, and you can see it's a list. So the result should put in a list, maybe, but I could be a little bit lazy, and probably not only lazy, but also actually here it's smart, because if I change it to an array, it will still work. I just need a name for it. Should I call it list? No. Just call it all. So now I got the module, and as you remembered, this module generated was actually just an enumerable model, so I could pass every type here, and also the all one. I could put it in one statement, but now it's a little bit easier if you want to debug it. So this is type strong. So in this case, it actually knows it's a list, and it passes actually a list, but it can be passed as enumerable, because that's implement the interface. So that should fix it. So now we actually should be able to see a lot of persons. So let's try to run it. You should remember the controller name. So this is actually very quick to make a. So now we just need to sell it. So so it's really quick. You can see here we got normal lengths, and if we are actually going to it's Chrome. Let's see the page F12. Ja, det var HTML. Ja, F12. Det kan jeg jo ikke huske. Så. Okay, så kommer den ikke op i. Højreklik i vinduet. Yes, this one, just to show you. So this is actually HTML, and you can see those were actually just made like an anchor reference with the contents of the two elements. So you can see here we got the controller set in, and then the action and the text shown. So, and if we go a little bit up, we might find the form. No, actually not in this case, of course. It's only showing data, so we don't need a form. A form is only when you got input value. So really quick to get started. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. So we make the next one, and so we try to take edit, because then we got a form, and we also got a form for the create, but the form for the edit might be a little bit more interesting, because we can show data, not just having an empty one. So we can show data, and then we can make an update. And it doesn't matter if you make an update actually on the server, because the only thing you can change is the phone number. So you cannot change anything else, because so else I have to recapture the database again. So
What about injection and security?
I'm not sure.
Wondering
Yeah.
what it is.
Okay, so we will have the edit function. So in this case, we try to make a new view, and so we will use this case an edit, and the module class is still the same. So, and generate. So in this case, you can see we got a form, and we got actually this one. I can't remember, but you set up some information also on the message. It hasn't done that. This is a hidden key that is put in the form, because as you could actually also send information without they were coming from the form, you could maybe put it in the URL and pass them there. So it's put in here, and if you are going and look for anti-forgetting token, then you'll see you can put up in the top of your method that you want it to be checked, and then it will not start up if you are not coming from this method. So it's a kind of security, yes.
It's okay if you
I used the edit template. So you'll see here it's a little bit different layout. They have some from the beginning. There is some styling that you can use, and actually there's really much styling, because they also you can use something called Bootstrap, so they turn around the layout if we have another screen size, for instance, are running amplification on a phone, and we shouldn't actually do nothing at all. But it's a little heavy, so it has cost some. For instance, Hesehus, they are talking about that it's too heavy, so sometimes they need to do it otherwise, because else they will not run fast enough. So, but anyway, you can see we got something here that we will come back to, because you can actually put in the model validation rules. So you don't need to put validation rules here. So this will actually generate some JavaScript. So there will be running JavaScript on the client side, and every time we got some validation rule, it will take the validation rule on the client side as JavaScript and check if we are making correctly data. And of course, we could still need to do it on the server side as well, because we could fake it, but normally it will be a good idea before we send data that they are evaluated what we can do. Then we got this one, label 4. So this is a little bit different. This is a label because in the table it was a header on the column, but here we need a normal, just a normal label in front of the text box. And this is the one text box. This is for the address. So this is a label, and you can see this is actually also a smart one because it takes the name from the model instead of hard coding it. So if we are making attributes on the model, we'll see that next time. Then we can actually change it once and instead of changing it every time. And then this have a validation rule. So this is a validation for all the side. This is for this key, for this element, and then you will find for the next one as well. So you will find a text box and a validation rule for everyone. We could change it, just making like we did before, making the HTML and text and then skip it, just change it to a text box. But that would be the same as we did for the calculator, so I don't think that we need that for now. But you can do that in the exercise. So let's try to change the controller, because now we need, this one has 2 entries, so we need an element. I'll steal a little bit from this one because I need the service. Of course, I need it every time. So I need the service object to make connection to get a model element, and of course there is one method that can return one object. So in this case, just write var. Don't want to write anything else, and then service. Dot. Oh. Okay. Of course. And then get person with person number. I might have a little bit problem because in the module it's not called an ID, so it will try to, in that case I have a little bit problem because when it's trying to make the URL, it's actually trying to find a property called ID, and I haven't got that, so I should probably change a little bit in the reference to get it the right name. Or I could go up and just changing every time there's an ID, then it's named person number instead. So let's see, and in this case I would like a different, I don't want this one, I actually want my model back instead of having this one. So the model name was person B2. So of course I could just make a using for that one, but now you can see where it's come from. So this is the model object, what I used for model that was auto generated. So and so I need an update. So again, I need this one. And oh yeah, put it in the try, of course. And actually here. And then service dot, and then there is, it's called ret. That's the same, that's a Danish word, and I just sent the object to it. I probably will have a result from here, I guess, that saying maybe true, false, if it's going well, or it's not, but I don't care. Just send it to the next one. So the only one we need to check is that we actually got, maybe in the list index, we could have a problem because in the module we don't have an ID. We got this one instead. So it might have a little problem for this one, because we cannot send the key. It has a suggestion here, but I don't have something called primary key. So if I want to do it for the edit, this is what I wanted to do, then ID should be my item dot this one. So it can't help me, but it can figure out which one is the key. So now it should be able to run. So let's try.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please go in the person under edit.
Just a second. So far. Under this one or the controller? So I got the module back. This is the module from the form, and actually this one is actually from the URL address. Yeah, you will only be able to change the phone number because it was too difficult to re-establish the database every time someone has tested it. So I don't think you can create new objects, but you can still fake it, because you can see that you're actually going to the create instruction if you want to. But for the exercises, I put up a simple repository instead. You can use the one that I already have used for the web API. Just put it there and you can clip it in and put it. You might make the list static, or you might make an instance of the repository static if you want to keep it in memory. It has some locking facilities on when you are running through the collection class, but not when you are working with one object, but that's still to be done. So we got it running. So when we say edit, maybe this one, then we don't get this one, so we might still need to check if I remember that. So it should go in here, so let's take a look, and you can probably see what's the problem. I didn't pass the object model. So of course I need to pass the model. Actually, you can see it's not complaining. Yes. Yes, we are finished. This is the last finish, not Danish, but Finnish. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Try it. Yeah. So edit and continue. So and save. So it's actually working, yeah. So this is the normal way of doing VCF, of course, MVC, of course, because you will have a model, and probably you will have a model not making just for this purpose, but you could have a model because you're using entity framework, or you are having a VCF service, and then you have a model already. But often you would actually create a new model because you don't want to keep all the information in the memory. So when you're making a call for getting data, you create a model just for this view. And of course, if you have more like this, you have more action for the same controller, you probably might have only one model. But you will see that if you're going to if we are visiting Hesehus, I hope we will make such an arrangement, you will actually see that sometimes they are talking about making a module every time. So they're actually making some mapping where they make a copy every time they need an object, they make a copy. So they don't have any objects that is not a copy in the memory. So, and this actually, of course, are taking a lot of time. So, but that's the way to be done.